Hello, and welcome to another session of virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley. My name is Batu Blumenthal. I'm the branch supervisor of the Putterham location of the Public Library of Brookline. Virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley is sponsored by the Friends of the Brookline Public Library, who sponsor this program and programs like it. As always, participation in this online yoga program could result in injury. Not all exercises presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for proper medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. The creators, teachers, and producers assume no responsibility for injuries from participation in this program. And with that, I give you Keith.
Exhale completely. Always balancing ease and effort. Always balancing ease and effort. So we want to engage the breath, engage the body in our yoga practice, but also keep some ease. So please think about that as you practice. It's really important to not overdo it, to not create tension in the body. And if you can work with some ease, things move more freely, especially the breath. So this is our diaphragmatic breathing. It can be nice to close the eyes. We're sitting up tall. It's an option where you put your hands in the lap, on the legs. If you had arms on your chair, you could even rest them on the arms. It's really just finding the most comfortable place. And the feet are about hip width apart, maybe a little wider. Gives a little more stability when the feet are a little wider. Feeling the sitting bones in the chair and then extending the spine up, lengthening the spine up from your sitting bones all the way up through the crown of the head. And feeling the feet on the floor, they want to be balanced. We want the left and the right foot to feel even on the floor. And even the left and right knee, left and right leg, left and right hip, left and right rib cage, left and right shoulders, left and right arms and hands, left and right sides of the neck, left and right ears. As if you were right in the middle, right? So everything is nice, the spine is nice and vertical, so there's no leaning to one side or the other. We oftentimes lean to one side or the other. We're feeling the breath, feeling the belly rising and falling. You could put your hand there if you wanted to feel the hand moving with the belly. You might notice that as you breathe in, as the belly moves, the breath begins to creep up a little bit into the lower ribs. And then as we exhale, there's a softening in the belly, and that softening goes all the way up into those lower ribs. So wherever the breath comes into, as we inhale, the softening also comes into as we exhale. So we begin to feel the breath moving up the torso. And if you practice regularly, you may find that things begin to soften even more and the breath rises up more and more into the upper part of the lungs. So the lungs extend almost up to the collarbones. A reminder is that the lower part is always going to move more. The upper part doesn't move as much, so don't expect as much movement. So remember, it's important to not push to get movement. It's a natural breath in and a natural breath out. And we're going to add some movement to it. We call this our sun breath. So we're going to bring the palms together right in front of the heart. And as we inhale, we extend the spine up and the arms float up at the same time. And then as the arms are floating down, the breath is releasing, is exhaling. Keeping the spine long, even on the exhale. So you won't have quite as much effort. We won't be moving the spine up on the exhalation, but we'll keep the spine long. And then on the inhalation, we allow the spine, sometimes we call them micro movements. They're small movements in the body. So they're not necessarily perceptible to the eye, but we use the muscles and we feel the engagement of the muscles facilitating these micro movements. You might even notice the hips rocking a little bit back and forth. So we get a little bit of pelvic tilting. And that's natural as we change the shape of the spine, as the arms are circling around, the thoracic spine is changing. That has a ripple effect on the lumbar and the cervical spine. So the back of the neck, the chin may lift as you inhale. An option here is to close the eyes if they're not. And to just feel the arms circling around, not worrying about how big the circles are. Really think about the heart moving forward and back, and how easily is my heart moving? How easily are the shoulder blades moving? How easily are the hips moving and the chin? The concentration or the focal point here is moving the heart forward and back, and the other movements may follow that. This can become a meditation if we relax and just allow the movement to happen. If your arms get tired, make the movement smaller. Bring the arms down a little bit so they don't have to work so hard. And let's bring the palms together in front, right in front of the heart, and then very gently press the palms together. Very gently press the palms together, sitting up tall, and let's go the other way. We will exhale and relax. The hands float down. We turn the palms up, and then the palms come together somewhere above. Whether it's a big circle or a smaller circle, doesn't matter. We circle to fit how our shoulders are feeling, how our spine, how we can encourage our spine to move with ease. That's the most important thing. We want our body to be moving with ease, with some balance of ease and effort. And we'll continue with this for a few more breaths. So circling the arms around, keeping the face and eyes soft. Maybe tuning in again and making this direction also a meditation. So as I circle the arms around, I'm feeling the shoulder blades moving. I'm feeling the heart moving forward and back. The jaw, the tongue, and throat are relaxed. The sitting bones are rocking slightly underneath. So we move a little bit towards the front area of the sitting bones and then back towards the back area, the back part. We don't want to collapse the spine though. So the lumbar spine still has a curve, that normal curve in it, that concave curve. It flattens a little bit and then it goes back the other way. But we don't want to round the lower back as if we're slumping. And then go ahead and bring the palms together and then bring the palms down and roll the shoulders a few times. So rolling the shoulders is a really good way if you have to do something during the day and you have to use your arms a lot. Just relaxing the shoulders, giving them just a minute to relax, and try one at a time. So we're just circling back, Notice how the hands are just sliding back and forth on the legs because the arms are relaxed. And let's go the other way, circling forward. You might notice a little bit of turning happening too as you circle the arms around. Sometimes we naturally want to turn as the arms are circling. Now let's do our swimming, a little backstroke. Keeping the feet on the floor, but noticing the weight is moving a little bit from side to side. One foot gets a little lighter, then the other foot gets a little lighter. The buttocks, one buttocks gets a little lighter, and then the other as we circle. And you can change how fast you go to make this a more meditative experience or a little more energizing. So if you want to bring things down a little, try going a little slower. And if you want to, if you're cold or you feel like things need to move a little faster, go a little faster. And let's go the other way. So reaching out and across the body. So now we're starting to turn a little bit more. As I reach out, I go across and the hand goes down the outside of the opposite leg. As if I was swimming. So if I was doing the crawl stroke, I would the body turns and the head turns slightly to take a breath. So if you want, you can imagine you're swimming. Feeling the belly moving here. So we're feeling some turning happening down by the belly button, by the navel. And then come back. Roll the shoulders a couple of times, then some cactus breaths. So bringing the palms together and then inhaling and coming back. So we're going to go back and forth like this in a sweeping motion, inhaling and then back. Inhaling and then back. A sweeping motion, back and forth. Almost like if you've seen movies with dragons, the dragons sort of flap their wings like this. I mean, birds are more like this, and dragons seem like this. So imagine you're flapping your wings, whatever kind they are. You can adjust how high you're flapping depending on how your shoulders feel. Don't bring the elbows higher than the shoulders, though, but they could be lower. So you could work down here, and you could even raise the arms slowly. And another place where you can adjust the speed to either make it more meditative, slower, or if you want to stimulate things, get things going a little more, you can go a little faster. And that'll bring the energy level up a little bit. And then go ahead and bring the hands down when you're ready. We're going to rock from side to side. So this is really our warm-up to get the body moving and also to develop a little bit of concentration and also a little bit of heat and warmth in the body. So it's important always to warm up, especially in the winter when it's cold, if your house is cold. And if it was nice out, it would be, it's cold. Not as cold as it's been, but it's still a cold one today. So a little extra warm up might be in order. And I'm lifting my feet, starting with just the heel first. So first I lift the heel and notice the toes are down, and then I can begin to lift the whole foot off, peeling the heel first and then the toes. And I'm feeling the weight shifting underneath me from one sitting bone to the other. My butt on this side is actually slightly lift off my sitting bone on that side. So I'm kind of balanced here like this. And I'm going back and forth, keeping the spine lengthened. Make sure that you're sitting up tall, even as you lift the foot and perhaps the buttocks off the chair. Making sure that if you need support, you can always put your hands on the side of the chair. Making sure we don't fall out of the chair. To get overzealous and go flying out of the chair. You could even, so if it's really, this is really easy, you can also put your arms out like this, and you could go a little slower. When we slow it down, you really notice it takes a lot. There's no momentum here. It's all core strength required to keep ourselves lifted up and also to lift the leg up. So if you want a little more ease, you can go a little slightly faster, and we have the momentum from going back and forth. And if you want it more challenging and really have to zero in with your attention, you can go slower. And let's go ahead and swing the arms like this. And this would be a good spot. So if you're tired of sitting, and we talk a lot about changing positions as a way to make sure the body moves more freely. So changing position regularly, like standing up and swinging the arms, might be something to consider. If you're standing, that is. But making sure that your balance is okay for this. Because it's also okay. Sitting down and swinging is still good. We're still getting nice turning here in the body. Be mindful that we don't bang into the back of the chair, though. So your choice for this. Always remembering if you have to sit for a long time during the day, if you can stand up, even every 15 or 20 minutes or so, it rearranges the position of the vertebra in the body. And so the muscles, things don't get so stuck. When we sit for a long time, especially at the computer, we end up oftentimes not being, things aren't moving. And then the muscles tend to stiffen up. And then when we go to move, we find they're really stiff. Which is, I guess it's a hazard of our lifestyle today. So let's begin to work on the joints now in the body. So we've warmed up some of the major muscle groups in the body, and we're going to start with the feet. Turn sideways so you can see. So we're going to rock back and forth. So this is going to help with the feet and the ankles as well. Lifting up the heels and then the toes, as if your feet were the bottom of a rocking chair, and they're rocking back and forth. And then you can also add the hands and wrists to it if you want. So thinking about the wrists moving up and down. So it's as if the wrist is doing, I'm putting my finger here just so you can see, the wrist is rotating back and forth like this. And these are both done without forcing. There's no pain or discomfort here. Well, we don't want pain or discomfort. So if you're finding that you're getting any pain, you're probably going too far, and you need to make the movement smaller. Try that and relax the movement a little bit. And of course, if you can't get rid of pain or discomfort when you're doing these exercises, you should skip that exercise and wait for the next one. And then we can even add a circling of the hands around. So I'm still rocking the feet and keeping a rhythm with the feet and with the hands together. You might even notice that the chin lifts up and down a little bit. I'm lifting the chest up. As the fingers are coming up, there's that lifting of the spine and lifting of the chest. And then as it comes down, everything kind of comes down a little bit like when we circle like this. except now we're circling a different way. But the same idea, we're using that upward feeling of movement to help elongate the spine. And of course, yoga is this, one of the most important things is elongating the spine, is ease of movement in the spine. And sitting up tall, take a couple of breaths. A sigh of relief. It's always a good way. If you find you building up any tension, give a nice sigh. And let's go down and do the ankles now. So for this one, it's good to use the back of the chair so that you're, although you're engaging the belly as you lift the feet up, not quite as difficult. If it's really easy, you don't have to use the back of the chair, but the back of the chair adds a little support to keep the spine lifted. So we're circling, starting with the ankles, making sure it's just the ankles. Don't let your knees move. If you have to, put your hands on your knees and then keep the ankles circling without the knees moving. And then the other way. And if that feels okay, you can add the wrists to it like this. And see if you can get them going together, softening the hands and the palms, softening the soles of the feet. We bring our attention to these areas and we imagine that they're soft. We feel them softening. And then going the other way. Perhaps slowing things down a bit, making this into a meditation. Even closing the eyes a little bit. So my eyes aren't fully closed. I can still see my hands and feet moving, but most of the visual input is gone here. And I keep my eyes and face relaxed. And then go ahead and rest, and let's lift up one foot and then the other. Notice how the spine wants to droop down a little bit when we lift up. So perhaps slide back a little more, find a good position in the back of the chair so that you're able to keep the spine lifted, even as you lift the feet up or foot up. And we're going to flex the ankle here. So as I lift up my foot, my toes come back and my heel moves in the opposite direction, and there's a lengthening on the back of the leg here. If you find this is really easy, you could slide away from the back of the chair. Just make sure that you can keep the spine lifted so that the lumbar spine back here is going inwards, is going in this direction. Don't let it round like this. Don't let the shoulders round. We keep the heart lifted, the lumbar in, the belly is engaged here. So the navel is moving back towards the spine, and there's a firmness in the belly. It's very important for the belly to support the back in these exercises. So the back's not doing all the work. People get into back trouble when the belly is too weak or unable. In some cases, the belly just doesn't know what to do. So if you're uncertain what to do with your belly, give it a tap and see if you can get it to firm up as you're tapping it. So we need to teach it to contract if it's not doing that already. And that can take a little time. That takes some practice. It won't necessarily all happen. It won't happen today. It might happen a little. But it takes practice over days or weeks to get the belly to respond when we want it to. And that's another important thing that we do in our yoga practice is we get all these muscles that in some cases we maybe aren't don't get a lot of our attention. We begin to give them more attention and they become more responsive. It's like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, they used to say. So consider this a squeak for your belly. Give it a little tap, wake it up. And that goes really for any muscles that we have. You could tap your thighs like this, the quadriceps, as you lift up your leg. And when I say tap, it's a very soft tap. It's really just to feel it and to be able to feel the gentle tapping on the muscles. So I'm not banging myself. So please be mindful of that. Harder is not better. It's probably not better, actually. And so that's step one is one leg. So step two would be a leg and an arm. So you can try that if one leg is no problem and you can stay lifted. So I'm going to slide back in the chair again and readjust myself. Sometimes we sort of slide down. And then I'm going to come back to adding the arm. Feeling the buttocks underneath you extending and the spine extending up from the sitting bones as you do this. So I'm keeping the heart lifted here. There's an open chest here and my heart is lifted. My chin might even ride up a little bit. And then if you wanted, you could do 2 arms. It's a little more challenging. So each time we add an appendage, lifting an appendage, it's harder. So be mindful of that. You can have 1 appendage or 2 or 3. You could even do 2 legs and 1 arm. There's a lot of choices. Or 4. Remember that we still need to keep the belly engaged and the heart lifted, even if we're lifting all 4. And if you wanted to make it more challenging, if it's still too easy, go slower. Going slower is harder. And notice what happens to your posture. Make sure if you're going slower that you're honest about your posture. And if you find that you're starting to slump, go back and just lift up 3 instead of 4, or whatever you need to go back to. So always thinking about posture, not sacrificing posture for doing more of whatever it is that we're doing. And sitting up nice and tall, some cactus breaths. We're going to add some hugs here. So inhale and a little hug. If you're right at the back of the chair, think about leaning slightly back to help open the heart here, almost like I'm going to lean back in my recliner. Of course, this chair is not going to recline, hopefully. And letting the arms swing freely. Inhaling. Maybe give a little sigh. Remember not to drop the head too far back. A little bit's okay, but we don't want to crunch the vertebra in the back of the neck. And one more time. And now we're going to slide forward in the chair. And we're going to circle around. So starting out with relatively small circles, you can adjust how wide apart your feet are depending on how big a circle you make. And also you want to feel stable. So you want the feet wide enough apart and perhaps a little bit away, a little bit further away, so that this is a little more than a 90-degree angle here to provide support. But it would be those extras would be relatively small. We still want the shape to be pretty much like this, even if it's slightly bigger. The general shape. That's what we always think about that in any of the movements that we do. Is the first thing is to get the shape of the movement or the pose, and then circling the other way. And this is our step 1. You could circle, stir the pot in front if you wanted. There's a step 2. Step 3, maybe circle the hands a little bit more. And even going all the way out to the sides. That's our biggest step. Still keeping the spine lifted. So as you try these, or if you try these more challenging movements, make sure you can feel the spine lifted. So usually the chest is a good indicator. If the chest is collapsing, then the spine is definitely not lifted. So we want to be able to keep the spine lifted, keeping the gaze out straight ahead. So the other thing is, if you don't look at the floor. If you look at the floor, the back is going to round. Can't really lift it up if you're looking at the floor. And we can change how big the circles are, how big our shoulders are, making a circle like this around in the plane of the floor, and go the other way. Feeling the belly engaging, especially as we begin to lean back. This belly engages. Notice if you can feel it. If you can't feel it, you could even put a hand on it and then feel it engage more as you lean back. Almost like a sit-up. Like as we lean back like this, you can feel it engage more. You could also adjust how far you are from the back of the chair. Just be mindful that as you circle around, to gently, if you're going to touch the back of the chair, gently slide across the back of the chair with the shoulders, and then go the other way. If you wanted to make it even more challenging, is you could lift up one foot as you circle around, as you're leaning back. You'd lean back, lift up a foot, and then come back down. And maybe try the other foot. And I guess you could even do both feet. And let's sit up nice and tall. So take a couple of breaths, inhale and exhale. And let's open and close the hands a few times. Open and close the hands. And actually, let's do the feet at the same time. So go ahead and slide back in the chair. And we're going to open. So opening for the feet is, if you put your hands like this, and you go like this, so it's almost like a pointing the toes, and then lifting and spreading the fingers back and forth. So my toes, my feet round over a little bit. Be mindful not to strain too much, especially with the feet, or your feet may get cramps. We want to avoid that. This is a good exercise because we seldom actually engage the hands to fully open like this. And the same thing with the feet. Especially when we wear shoes, we don't tend to work the muscles on the bottoms of the feet, and also stretch the muscles on the tops of the feet. So be mindful that, be thoughtful about it, and a little bit, maybe a little less effort with these exercises until you get used to them. And let's do the neck, sitting up tall, and then releasing the chin down. So the spine is still fairly lifted here. I'm not rounding the spine as I release the chin down. So I let the weight of the head do the work here. I'm not forcing the head down. I just relax and let the chin come down. And that has a nice effect on especially the back of the neck. If we just relax and let the chin come down, we get a better release in the back of the neck. Keeping the throat soft, and then sitting up tall, and let's tip the head. And the same thing here with just letting that weight of the head do the work. Inhaling up, exhaling to the side. So we can use the breath to facilitate the lengthening and the coming up and supporting the movement. And then we can use the breath, the exhalation, to help soften the side of the neck or to let the neck stretch a little more. You can also have your pillow if you wanted. It's always nice. And then turning the head from side to side. Thinking about the ease of movement here. So if possible, try closing the eyes here. So don't worry about how far you're turning. Think about how easily, I don't want to force my head to turn to the side. Just letting it turn nice and easy. And if you get dizzy at all from this, don't turn so much and try going a little slower and see if that helps. And of course, if you get dizzy and there's nothing you can do about it, then maybe you should skip the exercise. And there's so many exercises in our practice that if we miss one or two or even three, it shouldn't make a big difference. And sitting up nice and tall, a few sun breaths. Noticing how your shoulders feel now that we're a little more warmed up. Circling the arms around. Let's go the other way. So we're going to start with tree pose today. So we'll do it twice and demonstrate tree pose seated first, and then you can repeat that when I demonstrate tree pose standing if you prefer. So really your choice. And if you know tree pose already and you prefer to do it standing, then please go ahead and do that. So we start out in our mountain pose, either seated or standing, extending the spine up, relaxing, releasing the shoulders down, opening the heart, pressing the feet slightly down into the floor for support. So we want to feel an engagement, especially in these quadriceps in our mountain pose. And then we're going to step foot out to the side so that there's more weight on this, the leg that we have not moved. And we're going to sit up or stand up. We're going to be tall, think tall. And then go ahead and bring the sole of the foot in. So if you're seated, the sole of the foot can be on the edge of the chair. You could even rest the toes on the floor if you wanted. And then there's a little bit more weight on this side. And then adding the arms as we inhale and extend the spine up. So remember, the arms could be prayer position. They could be off to the side like branches on a tree, or they could even be over the head, whatever's comfortable for you. If your arms are over the head, think about perhaps bringing the elbows in slightly. Inhaling, extending up, exhaling, softening the shoulders, softening the face and the eyes, while keeping the spine lengthened. Feeling balanced here, nice and balanced. And then whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and bring the arms back down. You can bring the foot back, come back to mountain. And then find your balance on the left and right side here, as if you didn't do the pose on that we just did. So we want to feel nice and balanced on the left and the right side. And now we're going to do the other side. We'll step the other foot out. And make sure the torso Sometimes it follows that foot. Turn the torso back so we're nice and straight. And then you can bring the sole of the foot in. Of course, if you're standing, the sole of the foot can be on the inside of the calf. And then you can add the arms however you want. Prayer, tree arms, or branches, or over the head. Each time we inhale, we extend the spine up, we lengthen. When we exhale, we soften the face and eyes, release the jaw, the tongue, and the throat. Soften the shoulders. And when you're ready, you can lower the arms back down and come back to mountain. Take a couple of breaths here. Find that balance again on the left and right side. And then you can continue, you can repeat that seated if you want, or if you want to try standing, I'll demonstrate it standing. So we begin in mountain either way. Extending the spine up, moving the shoulders back, releasing the shoulders down. The heart lifts up and forward. The belly is engaged here. Don't let the belly stick way out. So we have some firmness here, firmness in the gluteal muscles behind us. So it's as if they move together and they firm up, and this firmness in the quadriceps too. So our core is supported by these muscle groups right here. Notice the lower back it's working, but it's not one of the ones we emphasize. We want the other ones to be supporting the lower back. And then extending up and stepping the foot out. So now the weight shifted over onto that straight leg, and then we can bring the sole of the foot on the inside of the calf. And then we have our arm. We can decide what arm position we want. Prayer position, branches, or over the head. Each time we inhale, we extend the spine up, perhaps using a drishti point. We're lifting the gaze slightly and focusing the attention on something that won't move. To increase our concentration and our stability. And when you're ready, you can lower the arms back down, bring the foot back, come back to mountain pose. Find that balance. So feel balanced on each side. Remember, if you have trouble with balance, you have your chair. You can put your chair right in front. You could even rest your fingers from one hand on it or both hands as needed. Or even you can work from both hands until finally, over time, you get to a finger on your chair. Surprising how just a little bit of extra information helps balance. Inhaling, extending up. And then go ahead and step the opposite foot out. So the weight is now on this leg. You can tap the leg. You can even tap, especially this side, the gluteal muscles, the quadriceps, even the belly. Make sure they're awake. And then go ahead and bring the sole of the foot in. So we want to balance ease and effort. So we're efforting, but we also want to have a little ease. If you can give a little smile as you position your arms. And if you step down, it's okay. You know, if your foot comes down, just bring it back. And find that spot for your hands, whatever it is. And perhaps that drishti point again. A place to focus your concentration. Inhaling. Letting go some of the effort. Finding some ease in the pose. So you could stand here for a while. And then when you're ready, you can bring the arms down and then the foot. I'm always amazed at how sometimes one side works really well and the other side doesn't work as well. I think that's not an uncommon experience. And sitting up nice and tall. So we're going to do triangle pose next. So we start in our mountain pose and then we extend the legs out. So with triangle, remember we can work with this, with the legs straight like this, or we could even work with the legs bent like this. But we want to form a kind of a triangle shape between the feet and the sitting bones. There's as if there was a triangle there. So I'm going to do my legs straight like this. I'm sliding near the front of the chair here so that my thighs, it's hard to extend the thighs and because they're going down if the thighs are in the chair. So if you need to have more support in the chair, you'd probably want to keep the legs bent. And then reaching and extending the arms out. So let's do this. Let's inhale and extend up and then bring the arms down. As we inhale and extend up, think about extending the spine up with the arms. Almost like a sun breath. Actually, you could even do a sun breath if you wanted. The idea here is to lengthen the spine before we do triangle pose, helping using the arms to help with that. So we're lengthening, the shoulders are relaxed, and then go ahead and bring the arms out, and then go ahead and reach out, and you can lower the hands down, and then come back up and reach out and down. So it's inhale up and exhale to the side. Inhale up, exhale. So we'll go back and forth a couple more times. And then one more time on each side. And then come on up and bring the legs back and sit up nice and tall. Come back to mountain pose. So you can repeat triangle pose seated, or you can try it standing. So remember, if you're doing it seated, you'll be going back and forth to the left and to the right. You'll alternate. If we're going to do it standing, I'm going to show it a slightly different way today. We'll step the feet apart. Notice the shape is really similar to when we were seated. It's really kind of the same shape. And then I'm going to turn this one foot, I'm going to turn the toes in slightly, and the other foot, I'm going to turn the toes so they point to the side, the direction of my arm is pointing right now to the side. So it's so the foot is at a 90-degree angle compared to the my back foot. I'm going to extend the arms out. Actually, let's do that again. The inhale, reach up and circle the arms around. And see if you can find some ease here as the arms circle around and the spine extends up. And then arms to the arms out, and then exhaling. And the arm comes down. And it's inhale up and reach out, exhale, arm down. Inhale up. Exhale, arm down. And then let's inhale up one more time. And then the feet turn back. And then lower the arms down, relax the shoulders. And then go ahead and walk the feet in. And of course, you have your chair too, right? You know, sometimes we call it chair yoga. Sometimes the chair is, we use it as a support. So you could even use a chair when you reach out with your arm to rest your hand on. I'll show it to you on this side, or you can have the chair in front of you for support, getting in and out of the pose, and as you do the pose for balance. So stepping the feet apart and arms out. Let's sweep the arms up. Think about lengthening the spine up. And then one more time, and then the hands come out to the side. So we turn that back foot in, the other foot in slightly, and that other, the other foot, the direction that we're going to reach for and bend in, the toes are pointed directly to the side, the same as my arm is right now. So if I look down, my fingers and my toes are actually pointed in the same direction right now on this side. And then I'm going to inhale, and I'm going to reach out. And I have my chair here, so I could actually even rest my hand here for a moment. And then I'm going to inhale up. Inhale, exhale, down. And inhale up. Exhale, reach and down. Notice the spine is lengthening here. Sometimes there's a tendency for everything to curl over like this. Try to avoid that. And then inhale. Well, let's do it one more time. Reach out, down, and then inhale. Come on up. Turn the feet back. Lower the arms down. Relax the shoulders. So go ahead and relax here as you begin to walk. Toe heel the feet back together. And let's go ahead and come back to our chair. So we're going to do extended side angle. We're just going to do it seated today. We've been practicing this, I think. So sitting up tall in mountain pose, just like before, mountain pose. And then we'll come into our triangle pose, this time with the legs bent. So we'll be seated with the legs bent. It's about a 90-degree angle here in the knee. Knee and toes point in the same direction, slightly out to the side, about maybe a 45-degree angle. And then inhale and exhale a couple of times. And then inhale, lift the arms out. And exhale, come back down. So we will do extended side angle like this. We'll inhale, and the arm will come up and the leg will come out like this. And we'll exhale and come out over the opposite knee like this. So let's try that again. So come back to your starting point. And if you wanted to, you could widen your stance a little bit too, but we want it to be comfortable. If you widen too much, it may be uncomfortable, but a little more, a little wider might be okay too. And inhaling, sitting up tall, and extending the leg out, extending the arm up as you exhale, and come back down. Actually, let's do it with this way. Let's do it with an inhalation. So we'll inhale and exhale. Bring the foot back and the hand down. So notice how the foot kind of slides along the floor. So inhale. And as I inhale, I'm leaning over, the spine is lengthening out in the opposite direction, and there's a lengthening from the outside edge of the foot up through the fingertips. Let's do the other side. So inhale. So inhale, and then you come out like this. And come back. And inhale. Exhale and inhale, come back up. And one more time. Inhale, exhale, and then inhale, come back up. And let's bring the feet together and do some sun breaths. Inhale, circling around. Reaching the heart and the spine up. Notice if things move a little more freely than they did in the beginning. We've been doing some postures that help us to make it easier to lengthen the spine. They begin to stretch all the muscles around the spine. And then when those muscles are a little bit more at ease, the spine moves more freely. And then circling, bringing the hands back down. And a few cactus breaths. Inhale, exhale. So start to warm down now. So think about making the movements a little slower. Allow the breath to slow down a bit. And then go ahead and settle back into your chair. So we want to be comfortable in our chair, which means that, especially if it's cold out, consider a blanket or something warm to keep you warm as we cool down. The body temperature tends to drop, and we want to be nice and warm while we're resting. If we get too cold, the body the response is to shiver. And that, of course, is not calming. And that's an involuntary response. So we don't have a lot of control over it. So sliding all the way into the back of the chair, or if you wanted to, you could lay down. If you're using a mat or you have a spot to lay on the floor, you could do that. Finding a position for the hands so the shoulders can really relax, arms can relax. Feeling the belly moving with the breath. Not worrying about the effort for the breath, though. Just notice the belly moving with the breath. With whatever amount of effort feels natural. We want everything to be nice and natural here. The lengthening of the spine, the softening of the body, releasing of the eyes. Allowing the body to just soften. With each exhalation, the body relaxes a little bit more. Of course, the eyes being shut helps. So if you can close your eyes, it's a little more restful. And then that formally ends our class for today. Please, if you have a few minutes, stay in Shavasana a little bit longer. 5 or 10 minutes is great. Thinking about the breath, feeling the breath, and just relaxing. And namaste, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much for practicing today.